Morning. Good morning on this beautiful, sunny, a little bit hot day. It's really gorgeous outside. I'm so grateful to be in community. And welcome to our friends online. We're glad that you're joining us. I invite you to join me in our morning blessing. As we come together this morning, we pray to be open to receive today's message. May we lean in and listen with curiosity, finding what is true for each of us. May we recognize with gratitude the countless ways that we are blessed, affirming that we are the masters of our unfolding path and in co creation with the divine. May compassion rise within us when we see or feel another's suffering, allowing us to hold space for them. And with that compassionate heart, may we also celebrate their blessings with pure hearts, sharing in their joy. May we be inspired to radiate love without any boundaries or bias. As we move through the world, may we do so with assurance, knowing that the steps of our individual paths are supported and that we are always guided. May our journeys be as steady as the earth beneath us and as limitless as the sky above us. May these truths root deep within us, always present, and let it be the truth of who we are together as a community, the sacred we. Amen. I'd like to invite Reverend Jerry up to the podium.
Wow, thank you, Reverend Jen. That was a beautiful, beautiful prayer. And right in line with what I'm going to talk about here this morning. And I'm going to open by reminding us all and those online that the song that we opened up with you today was by Rob Ricardo, and it's called Let It Breathe. And it's really just about taking it all in, letting it all out, and coming back to home. Today's conversation, while it's going to be a little bumpy in the beginning, I kind of go a little dark on some things because the life that we experience together in this world is pretty difficult. But toward the end, it's really about coming home, specifically to the four abodes, which is a Buddhist teaching. So stick with me through the bumpy parts, and we'll get to the meat and potatoes in a minute. You know, I've been thinking about my kids a lot lately and how the world is meeting them and how they're meeting the world. I'm in my 50s, and that puts my kids in their mid 20s and early 30s. And a lot of people in community, a lot of people in our online community are in that demographic. And while a lot of this conversation is going to be aimed at this age group and at the digital world that we all live in, I think we can agree, young and old, that the distractions that we endure and the world that is the internet of things can be very difficult to navigate, very frustrating. We see the brilliance in our young people and their exhaustion. You know, on one hand, they've got this beautiful view, and on the other hand, they've got a huge pile of responsibilities and of challenges. And we know that's confusing. And the world that you've inherited in your 20s and 30s is not an easy one. You have a burning desire to make it better for yourself, and to make it better for the kids that you're raising. You know, I like to think that I'm still relevant and still relatable. And I also like to think that I'm still in touch with my community, with my friends, and with the things that people face in day to day life and the challenges in their spiritual life. And I recently began reaching out to community, to younger people, to my kids to check in, you know, on what are the real life issues that we're dealing with, only to learn that the world is a very different place than I thought. And through their lens, it looks a lot different. It's a lot tougher. And these people have grown up in a digital world, which I didn't. It's all they know. It's a lot more confusing when there's no contrast to another time, which happens to be a very vastly different reality. than that we live in today. I was fully grown before the Internet of Things came on and before connectivity changed the world. I'm established in my career. I live below my budget, and I have references to life without digital interference. If I struggle for a sense of peace, at least I have memories of it. I'm beginning to think that peace ends for a human as soon as we put a device in their hands. I didn't realize it takes so much, really, for young people to navigate this world, just to function and just to move in this world. While our elders may pass down stories and traditions and even some resources, I think many younger people are just not just inheriting the earth, they're inheriting all of the problems that we're leaving behind, the chaos, the contradiction, and the enormous spiritual questions that come along with that. And they're doing it in a world where, I don't know, living with a roof over your head is uncertain. Maybe making a choice between healthcare and car insurance is a reality. In a world where truth is negotiable, where headline news is fake or polarizing, and where community sometimes feels fleeting. Still, despite all this, you, our young people, our future, are the most compassionate, imaginative, and spiritually curious generation that we've seen in hundreds of years. You're not content with religious dogma, you want direct experience. You want love to be more than just a word. Love is a certainty, not a doubt. You want it to be your compass. Love is a state of being, not something that can be taken away. We want that to be our foundation. But why does it seem so far away? Why isn't it front of mind? Always. So let's talk about how we create and how we live in that kind of love, even when the world feels like it's spiraling, and how to move forward with grace and power, and how to energetically undo so much of the garbage that's being done to us on the down low every day. So let's start in the weeds. Let's start by acknowledging what we already know and what we need to undo. We do live in a world that feels like it's crumbling and expanding at the same time. Technology, once upon a time liberating, I know I was super excited about it as it was coming down the pipe, is now addictive. Our tools are not friendly or even neutral. They're designed to capture our attention, to shape our beliefs, even to dictate or sabotage our self-worth. One young friend said to me recently, 5 years from now, the only thing that's going to make sense to me is me. He was talking about being and living and existing in a digital box. While he remembers rotary phones and using them, the digital world, the internet, cell phones, and now connected life are what he grew up in, just like every other person who's 35 years of age or younger today. From the time he was 15 and maybe younger, he's been living in a world that's designed to hijack his ancient reward circuitry, to drip feed dopamine hits through endless scrolling and notifications, where pop-ups and auto-playing videos distract him and keep our attention. Every swipe teaches an algorithm somewhere what excites us, what causes us fear, what keeps us up at night. And tomorrow, there will be more of that stuff waiting for us. Over time, that feed becomes a mirror maze. It becomes targeted with ads that echo our insecurities, political posts that amplify our bias, and polished highlight reels that coax us into a constant state of comparison until our sense of worth feels tethered to something outside, something unreachable. The same device that can remind us of a birthday or a job interview that's coming up can also interrupt our day and remind us that we're insignificant or insufficient, not enough, unless we buy or post something or upgrade to some new device. This is all something that we have to undo. We have to silence the influences that attack our self-worth and value every day. We should introduce counter-espionage tactics into our spiritual practice. When there's a virus going around, what do? We add supplements to our diet, do we not? Okay? Well, let's bring some spiritual supplements to the times that we're living in today. You know, when we're paying a bill, it requires a phone app. This was just a few days ago. I can't pay my internet bill using the internet from my home. I have to use my phone. I can no longer just jump on something on my computer. That's how far the control is going. It's so frustrating. When social connections are reduced to read receipts, and when employers scroll our timelines before they bother looking at our resume, well, we're not using technology. We're being used by it. This same friend also said to me that he believes the pervasiveness of devices and digital bombardment, as much as it seems to drive us into slavery or a zombie state or the things that so many of us look at, his perspective is different. It's actually driving many of us to spirituality instead. That caused me to really think about what he was saying. I nodded my head during the conversation, but inside my head, I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" So it planted a seed, caused me to really think about it. And after thinking about it, I hope I've got this right. He can tell me after service. But his point, I think, was that digital literacy has fostered within him and within people that he knows spiritual literacy. How? Well, we have to learn to witness the spell without falling asleep inside it, don't we? If we're not careful, we'll fall asleep in that poppy field, just like Dorothy and her friends. We have to establish boundaries with technology. Intentional screen free time, walks in nature, right? Disable non essential notifications. That's a big one. And curate feeds that support us. I've watched my son, my beautiful son, whom I love so much, spend so much time in a negative feed space where his Reddit things are feeding just curiosities and things that on the surface don't look like they're damaging. But over time, and that stuff will bring you down. So your feeds and the notifications that are coming in are super important. So choose those that nourish instead of deplete. And remember that the truest metric of our value is not stored in the cloud. It's right here in our hearts, right? So when we think about it in those terms, it actually sounds a lot like meditation, doesn't it? Right? Observe, practice intention, mindfulness, prayer. These things are all valuable to us in this world. In this world, we face inequality and discrimination that the generation before me swore would be gone by now, eliminated. Where the heck did that all come from again? Systemic racism and gender inequality persist, and the lack of generational wealth continues to limit opportunities for many people, especially those who have been historically marginalized. And this impacts access to education, high paying jobs, upward mobility, e.g., happiness and growth. It's tough for our young people today. Another challenge, of course, is the growing cost of living, rent that outpaces wages, health care that's out of reach, and student debt loans that loom like a shadow. Wage stagnation in our nation means working multiple jobs to stay afloat, and affordable housing feels like a dream and not a right. Mental health care seems inaccessible or stigmatized, despite a widespread need, and so many who are in need still today are in need. We're almost through. Finally, and on top of all this, political disillusionment, right? What's going on in our world today is a mess. There's war, fear. The United States is for the first time on the International Human Rights Watch list. What? Military and ICE are in Los Angeles, in the parks in Los Angeles. What is going on? So much of this breeds feelings of helplessness, of powerlessness, a sense that we're just all floating in a river that we didn't choose, and a lot of other people are floating in that same river with us. But here's what I have to say about that. It's at times like this that we have to be hyper aware of where we put our attention and where we plant our minds. We have got to choose the things that we lose sleep over. Would I rather lose sleep over worry, or would I rather stay up late mulling over the simple beauty and grace of collaboration, who I'm going to work with next and what I'm going to bring to the table? Where we put our awareness and where we spend our energy has everything to do with our experience and our reality. And we're co-creators of this reality, by the way, right? We all agree in this room, I think, and those online with us, that we are in fact co-creators with God, with the universe. And we can change each other's reality as well as our own. My reality can change yours. Your reality can change mine. Because the vibration we emit in response to our experiences becomes our reality. In other words, our thoughts, our feelings, our prayers, and our spiritual energy shape what we bring into our lives. They influence what we manifest. They create the outcomes that some call luck, coincidence, even miracles. One sure way to bring this kind of positive change into your life is to practice Kaizen and to live in one of the four abodes. And that's what we'll talk about next. Living in the four abodes at all times, if possible. So, the Japanese term Kaizen means change for better or continuous improvement. Many of us might be familiar with that. It's the idea of just improving by a simple 1% over yesterday every day. Every day. Just a little tiny bit. Baby steps in the right direction, right? And over time, those small improvements will add up to massive change in your life, massive transformation. In other words, we'll see our entire experience change and shift, because energy doesn't ask if your life is perfect. It just flows where your attention goes. And it's easy to go from 1% to 2% to 3% to 4. And before you know it, we're hitting some major changes, right? Maybe at 10%. For me, it might be like, hey, wait a second. I don't have any room in my head for my receding hairline anymore. And it might even turn into, hey, I'm so happy that you have such a beautiful full head of hair. Right? I can be joyful for you and your hair. This is nothing like faking it until we make it, right? Neither is it a form of toxic positivity. It's really just digging in and knowing that you're going to do the work and knowing that whatever's on the other side, you're going to see. So yes, the world feels broken, but you're not. You're not a part of the problem. Every single one of us is a part of the solution. And so here's the turn, the spiritual pivot, right? The shift from paralysis to power. The world is loud, it's messy. You're going to be pulled in 100 directions, but you can begin right now where you are to create stillness. Not quiet, but stillness. The kind of inner peace where truth stands up and guides your path. And we'll do this a little more every day. So, we mentioned Kaizen, 1%, moving in the right direction, little baby steps every day. The next is the Buddhist precept of the four abodes. The four abodes are also sometimes called the four immeasurables. I recommend living in these abodes as much as possible. These four things are seen as the foundation to healthy, fulfilling, fruitful relationships and are cultivated through practices like mindfulness and prayer, mindful living and meditation. We'll explore one of these meditations at the end to open the door to the first abode a little bit later. So, the four abodes, or immeasurables, they are love, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And they're not only states of being, these are skills. These are skills that we can build, that we can strengthen, and that we can refine. By embodying these abodes and living in them, we can shift our experience of life to peace from just about any state, at just about any time. Other religions also teach very similar values in these aspects. Christianity, for example, Jesus embodied these very same principles through his example and through his teachings of loving your neighbor, turning the other cheek, weeping with those who weep, and not letting your heart be troubled. And while these things seem or sound simple on the surface, these are not fluffy concepts. These are disciplines. They're practices. They're how we can weather this world with power and in peace. The world that we see is a reflection of our inner state. Why not make it powerful and peaceful? So the universe is very responsive to this type of work, I promise. And here's an experiment to show how quickly this kind of energy moves in the universe. Try it. Just go ahead and try it after service or wherever it is that you go. And it's fun. Smile. Smile at every person who meets your eye. Every single one of them. They'll all smile back. Just like that. Right? It's a good vibe. The universe responds quickly. It moves that energy out. And something cool, even though you initiated that smile, it still feels like a gift when it comes back, doesn't it? Even you do it on purpose. You smile at someone, they smile back. You're like, all right, I got a smile. So, and if they don't smile back, well, guess what? They probably needed that smile a lot more than you did. So give it away. Okay, so let's break down the four abodes. The first abode, of course, is love. Love is called metta or agape. Metta in Buddhism, agape in the Christian traditions. Love is unselfish, right? It's unconditional. It seeks the welfare of others. It's not I love you because you make me feel good. It's I love you because you exist and you're worthy. The Buddhist teachings on love is interesting. It's to desire welfare for another, manifested as the total removal of annoyance. Okay.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, right? Okay.
I like that one.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that. It succeeds when it makes ill will disappear, and it fails when it gives rise to self-centeredness. Okay, I'll buy that too, right? So how does that work? Well, Jesus, also renowned for his unconditional love, warns against conditional or self-centered love. In Luke 6:32, he speaks, if you love only those who love you, what credit is that to you? Right? The second abode is compassion, or karuna. In the Buddhist tradition, compassion is the heartfelt wish to relieve suffering. It's not pity, and it's not overwhelm. It's the fire inside that says, I see your suffering, and I will not turn away. Jesus, too, was a living example of compassion, and he served as a model for believers, calling them to embody the same love and the same mercy in their interactions with others. The third abode, and again, we're talking about living in these spaces. We're talking about this being a state of mind, a state of being. The third abode is sympathetic joy. This is the ability to rejoice in the happiness and success of others without envy, to celebrate others' blessings as if they're your own. And while for Buddhism, compassion is a response to others' suffering, sympathetic joy, or mudita, is a response to others' joy. And both are super, super important aspects of the Buddhist practice. They can be seen as complementary. And the desire, by the way, to remove suffering on one side, and the true joy for others' success, they're beautiful, energetic bookends to live between. Christian teachings emphasize the importance of expressing love and empathy within the community, too. Jesus said, rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Romans 12:15 encourages believers to genuinely share in the joy of others, celebrating their successes and blessings. And it's not just about an outward expression of those feelings, but about really experiencing that joy and sharing in that joy of others from your heart. And what does that equal, right? And in our beliefs, in our practices, that's co-creation. Right there. That's manifestation on the long term. When you can be happy for other people's successes, when you can feel that joy you're going to be bringing that into your life too. This is happiness taking form. So the fourth abode is equanimity, or also known as opeka, equaling calm, balance. The ability to stay centered among chaos, to recognize that we each have our own path and that peace doesn't depend on what's happening outside us. Upekkha, the Buddhist term for equanimity, is manifested as quieting like and dislike, or inner peace. And while the word can be translated as indifference or disregard, the context in the Buddhist philosophy is not that. It's about maintaining a calm and balanced mind. Jesus, too, spoke of equanimity, though not in so many words, and he did it powerfully. One example is bringing peace amid the turmoil at his Last Supper. John 14:27 reads, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you." This is key. "I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Here, Jesus encourages an unshakable inner peace in his disciples, even as he prepares for his own crucifixion. This peace isn't dependent on circumstances. It was spiritual, it was enduring, and it was transcendent. It's a clear parallel also to the Buddhist teachings of Upekkha. So how can we move more freely in this difficult world, right? At the same time, bring a state of positive change into our own lives, into the lives of others? One sure way is to live in one of those four abodes, man. Live in those abodes, at least one of them at all times. Move around in them, right? Visit them all frequently. Live in the house of compassion for a while, and then move over there into sympathetic joy, right? Live in them all if you can. Well, how can I do that? I'm so busy. I got so many distractions. I got so much stuff going on in this hand. This hand's full. What am I going to do with that? Well, fortunately, moving forward is easy. It's easy to get started, and it doesn't take much time. And we can follow the advice from the beginning of this talk. Set aside some screen-free time to practice the work of the next subject, see if I can pronounce this correctly, the Metta Bhavana, also known as the loving kindness meditation. This meditation is an ancient practice, and it's aimed at cultivating feelings of love, kindness, and compassion toward oneself and toward others. And it'll get you on the path to the first abode. So the term metta with two T's means love in a non-romantic sense, like friendliness or kindness. And bhavana translates to development or cultivation. So the Metta Bhavana meditation literally means to develop or cultivate love. And it's super easy. The practice involves directing these three positive emotions, first toward oneself and then gradually extending them to a friend, then a neutral person, then someone difficult, and then the whole world. Mindfulness, the four abodes, and Metta Bhavana are spiritual technologies. They're a counterpoint to the electronic technologies and the damage they inherently cause us. And the four abodes build emotional intelligence, they deepen faith, they change our reality, and unlike an app or other technology, the more we use them, the batteries get stronger and the code gets tighter. And we undo the digital damage every day by using these things. We don't need to fix the entire world to practice. We only need to begin. So, love for real. Don't turn away from suffering. Rejoice in others' success. And cultivate calm and balance within. If you'll join me for a minute in this meditation, I'll bring us through the Metta Bhavana. It's very brief. And for those online and for those in the house interested, I do have copies of the meditation. One will go into the chat and others will be available if anybody wants to bring one home. So let's take a moment together now You can sit and close your eyes and simply listen and breathe. Sit in a position that feels stable and relaxed. Let your hands rest. Soften your brow, your eyes, your jaw, and tongue. Let your neck relax and your shoulders fall. Just breathe. Soften your heart and allow the hardness to fall away gently. Settle into the feeling of support underneath you, knowing that you are grounded and protected in this beautiful meditation that is uniquely yours. Breathe a deep breath and release fully, and return to your normal, comfortable breath. The first exercise in loving kindness to yourself, bring to mind your own image, or just feel yourself sitting here, and silently repeat, "May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering." And let those words sink into your body, not as a command, but as a blessing. Loving kindness to a loved one. Picture someone you love easily. See them smiling and radiant. Say in your heart, "May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering." Now, loving kindness to a neutral person, bringing to mind someone you don't know well. Perhaps it's a neighbor or a grocery clerk. And say, "May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering." Now, this is the challenge. Think of someone who irritates or confuses you. Without condoning their actions, you can still wish them peace, saying, "May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering." And finally, loving kindness to all beings. And now open your heart wide to the whole world and to every person, creature, and soul on earth. We say, "May all beings be well. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free from suffering." Let me take a breath and rest in that for a moment. You are the light and the way in a dim and troubled time. You are not powerless. You are not alone. Go forth this week and live your life with deep intention, rooted in these four truths. Love is inexhaustible. Compassion heals. Joy multiplies. Peace sustains. And as you return to the room, wiggling toes and fingers, may your walk be one with grace, and may your story, yes, your messy, beautiful, unfinished story, be your power as you carry it forward in your life. And so it is. Thank you. So I'd like to invite, oh no, it's time for offerings now. I'm yet new to offerings, so let's get the basket rolling. And please do explore your generosity. You know, money and offerings are energy. And the energy that we put into this world, especially the energy that does the work that happens through the home center, is magnificent and will always, always return to you many, many times over. So with that, let's do a short blessing. Spirit, we're grateful for the generosity of our contributors and our supporters. May their donations and offerings be met with immense reward. We know that this is so, and we pray in gratitude. Amen. So while that's going around, we'll bring Reverend Jen up for the closing prayer and a short story.
Thank you, Jerry. Wonderful message. I appreciate that. So this morning I was thinking, what can I share? And I looked over at our bookshelf, and this book that I have is Moon Power. And we're in the moon is in Aquarius, going into Pisces really, really soon, like tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure. But I just want to read a little bit about this. It says, Aquarius detaches us from the everyday, distances us from the known reality, and makes us spread our wings and open our minds to the bigger cosmic picture. The goal of this energy is to rocket you towards your ultimate truth through imagination, radical innovation, and change. And it says, we all came here with a mission that is far larger than we think. We're here with a bigger purpose and the responsibility to use our gifts and talents as a contribution to our community or society at large. You're not living your life just for yourself or growing and healing just for your own good. You are healing and transforming. Your healing and transformations are needed for future life on Earth. I thought that was really sweet. Now I really know I need some readers. Just saying, that print is small. So I'd like to invite you to join me in our closing prayer. It was inspired by Jerry's message about the four abodes. In the boundless stillness of being, may loving kindness arise, embracing all without condition. In the flow of all sorrows, may compassion awaken the courage to cradle another's grief with tenderness of understanding. In the brilliance of others' joy, may empathetic joy blossom. May our hearts dance with theirs. And in the sacred movement between what was and what will be, may equanimity remain. May these abodes settle in our hearts, not as fleeting emotions, but as the quiet truth of who we are now and forevermore. Amen. And we say goodbye to our friends online. Thank you for joining us. From our heart to yours, be well.